Mr. Kramer, to what do we owe the pleasure?
Got a present for your boss.
Yeah, is he gonna like it?
Oh, he's gonna love it. Got one for you, too. Stick around.
The Ash trial was the biggest in memory, and Inspector Kramer had come to invite Wolfe to the festivities.
Kramer, what brings you into my home?
An opportunity that doesn't come often enough.
Phooey.
A situation you can't get out of.
Archie, escort Mr. Kramer out of the house.
Here's your subpoena for the Ash trial. Want me to read it out loud?
You came all the way to serve me this in person?
I came all the way to serve you in person. I want to make sure you understand the fine print.
A sad commentary on the pusillanimous nature of your dreams.
And if you don't show up, you'll be in contempt of court. And a bench warrant will be issued for your arrest. And I'll send the newest recruit on the force to come down here and lead you away in cuffs. Maybe this will get you out in the sun. Oh, here's one for you.
I'll have order. Continue, Mr. McIntosh.
We will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt he murdered her in cold blood. This rich, sophisticated man sits before you wealthy enough to buy a battery of lawyers. We will further demonstrate that Leonard Ash was mad just as well as sus. Because he's a respectable man married to a famous woman. Don't let him get away with it. The people will show that Leonard Ash engaged Marie Willis to spy on his wife from her vantage point as an operator at the Bagby Answers telephone messaging service.
Is it plausible that my client would kill a woman because she refused to spy on his wife? No. Is it plausible that a grown man would kill in order to avoid embarrassment? No.
And we will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that when poor Marie told him that she could not go on and had decided to tell his wife of his espionage, he murdered her in cold blood.
Is it plausible that in a fit of rage, a respected theatrical producer would kill a young, aspiring actress because she threatened to undermine his marriage? Possibly.
I've been locked up for 2 months. 2 months. 60 days, 1,440 hours, over 86,000 minutes. You have time to do the maths when you're in jail. You know what jail does to a man? Whatever notions you had about yourself, that you have some stature, maybe you've done some things in your life that have earned you some respect, that's all stripped away in the first 24 hours. No, I should say in the first 10 minutes. When they strip you naked and they hose you down for lice. Lice. Then they work very hard to take away everything else. To the point where you begin to wonder if you could kill someone. You begin to wonder if you did.
My client's wife is a beautiful, famous woman. Leonard Ash would be a fool not to be madly in love with her.
Can you imagine what a nightmare this has been for me? Well, of course, for my husband as well. But to get a call in the middle of the night, when you're groggy and feeling vulnerable to emotions, the late hours, when Lady Beth couldn't wash the bloodstains from her hands and couldn't stop thinking about them, they said, "Your husband is in jail."
It would be easy to portray this murder as an act of passion, but he did not kill Marie when she told him no. He didn't raise his hand in anger, he waited.
It's just a theory, a possible explanation. I can come up with 100 of them.
He waited until she was all alone at the job, her back to him at the switchboard, probably answering a call. He came up behind her. She never knew what was coming, poor kid.
The fact is that the state has not one single shred of physical evidence to indicate that my client ever touched Marie Willis, let alone grabbed her and choked her to death.
And now, this rich, sophisticated man sits before you, arrogantly confident that you won't convict him.
That when he found her body, he called the police. Is that the behavior of a cold-blooded killer?
They lock you up and they take away your freedom. That's the easy part. Then they work very hard to take away everything else.
He wants to spy on his wife. Does he do it himself? No.
This has been so hard. Not the appearing in public. Being stared at all day, I'm used to that.
First of all, who's the wife gonna believe? Her husband? Or some crazy fan with some cockamamie story? Second,
Over 86,000 minutes.
Leonard was mad with jealousy. There's nothing I could do to satisfy him that his love was enough. And so the question keeps rolling around in my mind.
Wearing clothes and perfume that she knew that I liked, ready for any adventure I wanted to explore.
I just could have wanted to kill the poor girl. That is the one thing Mr. Donovan has not come up with. Another person.
it's very hard to feel sorry for the rich.
The state calls the next witness.
You must understand that my work is based on facts, and facts alone.
Over 86,000 minutes.
Clearly a sign of too much sugar intake.
Why did I take this case? I'll tell you why I took this case. Because the man is innocent. Plain and simple.
I have to leave the cadaver unattended to go to court and to answer some lawyers' inane insinuations.
Quietly, stealthily, Leonard Ashe sneaks up on Marie Willis and strangles her to death and leaves her dangling from her own telephone cord.
You have time to do the maths when you're in jail.
Do I enjoy attending these trials? No, I do not.
This is not a... Well, it is. It's a matter of lazy police work.
Quite frankly, I think most lawyers are irritating and idiots.
Not a matter of the rich versus the poor. It's not some kind of big battle. It's a prime example, and there's nothing that sticks in my craw more than lazy police work.
The cadaver is all cut up, the blood is drained, the organs are removed, and I'm examining the wound, trying to determine the exact nature of how the crime was perpetrated.
Is this a picture of the deceased?
Yes.
What was your analysis of the cause of death?
Strangulation. The victim's windpipe was crushed by an electrical wire, which was yanked back and held taut around her neck, tight enough to slice through the flesh of her neck.
How long did the murderer have to hold it?
3 to 5 minutes.
The killer had to hold her dying, choking for that long?
Yes?
Your Honor.
Conclusion of the witness as to the intention of the defendant.
Mr. Mandelbaum, you know the rules of evidence.
The objection is sustained.
Your witness, Mr. Donovan.
Were there any fingerprints on the cord?
Of course not.
Any bruise patterns, skin under the fingernails?
No.
Any physical evidence of any kind to connect my client to the body of the deceased?
Not in my report.
Thank you. Your Honor, we would like to move for dismissal. The state has not met the evidentiary burden of proof in a capital crime.
To establish a clear motive, Your Honor, by his own admission, he was there. This man was insanely jealous of his wife, and this girl threatened him.
I'm so happy you could join us today here for the trial, Mr. Wolfe.
Yes, I'm only here because I've been subpoenaed, sir.
Yes, however, that subpoena stated you were to arrive at 8 a.m. You are 2 hours late. But I suppose we all should be grateful for small favors. In this day and age where the highest courts in the land must bow to the idiosyncrasies of the famous. And you, sir, are very famous. Now, I trust our accommodations suit you. Quite comfortable, I hope. Would you care for us to repeat all of the previous testimony?
That won't be necessary, Your Honor. I'm sure that we'll be able to follow the course of the trial.
Fine, then you won't mind if we continue.
I assure you, Judge, that I wish these proceedings to be concluded with as much dispatch as justice will allow.
Well, that's very reassuring, Mr. Wolfe.
Here we got a guy. He wants to spy on his wife. Does he do it himself? No. All right, get somebody else to do it. First, he goes to Nero Wolfe, asks him to do it. That doesn't pan out. He hires a telephone operator to do it.
I enjoy playing with my toy soldiers. I have a great passion for collecting armies and recreating historical famous battles in my basement.
Lice.
The late hours, when Lady Beth couldn't wash the bloodstains from her hands and couldn't stop thinking about them, they said, "Your husband is in jail." What?
I produced dozens of Broadway successes.
A steel worker or a taxi cab driver, he thinks his wife is having an affair. He asks her.
Oh, you're so passionate about things. You can't even talk to him about... Well, I don't mean to imply that... Well, of course he didn't.
I'm a powerful man. My name is on lists of people to know in the business.
But what he doesn't do, what he doesn't even dream of doing, is going to a telephone operating service and hiring them to monitor his calls, paying an operator to listen in on the off chance that he might get a hint of what his wife is doing with the afternoons.
Want to go to Paris for the weekend? Wonderful plan, darling.
I have but one thing to say. Nero Wolfe is responsible.
Your motion is denied. You may step down. Continue, Mr. Mandelbaum.
State calls Clyde Begg.
Just raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible.
Must I submit to this? Because a summons to testify is an occupational hazard if one hopes to collect fees from clients.
I had no client.
Only because you turned Leonard Ash down when he asked you for help, but that's the only reason. Otherwise, you would have a client.
Pardon me. Cashews? Perhaps? No? Well.
Well, it's a telephone answering service. Say you're a person or a firm and you have a telephone. Well, you're not only always there to answer it, so you get a phone answering service. I have 4 different exchange districts: Gramercy, Trafalgar, Plaza, and Rhinelander. I specialize in private homes rather than firms. When someone dials a client's number, his light goes on the switchboard, and the buzz synchronizes with the ringing of the client's phone. How many buzzes the girl counts before she plugs in depends on who the client is. I mean, some want her to plug in at 3 buzzes, some want her to wait a little longer. I got one client, he had the girl count 15 buzzes. That's just the kind of specialized service I give. The big outfits, the ones with tens of thousands of clients, they don't do that.
I have no time for that business. These guys, they're in my face all the time. It's like, get your son out to the games, get him in there, get him ready, make sure he's there to win. If he's not there to win, get him the hell off the yacht.
And I often work late into the night and into the next morning. And then my assistant comes and tells me that I have to drop everything and go to trial.
Instead, she thought she would do what one of my characters would have done. and confront my husband and tell him that she knew he was jealous. As if anyone in Park Avenue didn't already know that.
Then, when the police arrive, he tells them some cockamamie story about how some mystery man calls him up and tells him to get down and talk to her right away. Why would he tell them that? Why not tell them a good story, something they'll believe?
Hot dogs, French fries, the odd hamburger.
2 months.
I'm bone tired. Tired in my soul. Your husband is being held without bail.
It's almost Shakespearean. It's like King Lear.
That's for the future.
If Leonard Ashe was mad with fear that his wife might laugh at him, why didn't he just kill her then?
No one can tell you what it's like. You have this, well, I suppose you could say in my case, legion of people, all who believe they know me personally, simply because they've seen every part I've ever played.
I haven't decided whether or not to put Leonard Ashe on the stand.
Want to go to Paris for the weekend? Wonderful plan, darling.
Or Rabina Keene. I don't want to. I might have to, but I really don't want to. I mean, they're both loonies by anybody's standards, but they're very, very rich.
I feel like a fool.
Or if he's really cagey, he takes his wife's sister out, gets her drunk enough that she can't remember, and asks her some questions.
And this poor girl thought she was doing me a favor.
My name is on lists of people to know in the business.
What about it?
She was going to tell me my husband was trying to spy on me. If she'd ever gotten to me, who's to say I would have believed her?
What do I think of the victim? Well, clearly I've never met her, so I wouldn't really know. She might well have been a very nice person. But based on my dissection of her body, I can tell that had I met her in real life, I probably would not have gotten along with her.
And the way the office on 69th Street is set up is unusual, is it not?
Yes, it's an apartment. Well, on account of labor laws, I can't have women working in an office building past 2 a.m. And I give around-the-clock service, so right there on 69th Street, we have 4 girls living and working in that apartment. We give specialized service.
Mr. Bagby, look at the gentleman in the dark blue suit sitting next to the officer. Do you know him?
Sir, that's Leonard Ashe. He arranged for a 24-hour service on his home phone, paid a month in advance.
Then 2 days later, he made contact with Marie Willis and offered her $1,500 to do what?
Your Honor, the assistant district attorney is testifying.
So he is. Let your witness do his own testimony, Mr. Mandelbaum.
Of course. We'll go the long way if that's what Mr. Donovan prefers. Was Leonard Ashe's number on Marie Willis's board?
Yes, yes.
Did he make contact with Miss Willis?
Yes, he wanted to meet with her.
Mr. Bagby?
Oh, well, he wanted to meet her because he was a theatrical producer, and she always wanted to be an actress. So she asked my permission to meet with him, and I said, sure. And then Ashe asked her...
If it pleases Your Honor, this witness cannot testify what Mr. Ashe and Miss Willis talked about. He was not present.
Of course not. He's reporting what Marie told him had been said.
That should be kept clear. Do you understand, Mr. Bagby? Only what she told you.
Yes, sir. Well, she told me Ashe asked her to check in on any phone calls to his apartment during the day, and then she was supposed to call him at night and report. He gave her $500 and promised another $1,000 if she went along.
Mr. Bagby, did Marie say what kind of information she was supposed to report?
Yes. She was supposed to report on any extramarital activity on the part of his wife.
And did she?
She told him she wanted to sleep on it, and then she came to me. She said she knew she should have turned him down, but she didn't want to make him sore.
Miss Willis initially agreed then?
Oh, yeah, till she found out his wife was her idol, Rabina Keene. Marie studied acting very seriously.
In any case, you can confirm that on the night of her death, Marie Willis had an appointment to meet with Leonard Ashe.
I tried to talk her out of it. I rode with her in the taxi to Ashe's office, but I couldn't budge her. She had made a promise to Ashe, and she wanted to withdraw it. She wanted him to know that she was going to tell his wife.
happiness was mine.
First of all, look at her. She's gorgeous. What's she doing with a big lug like him except for money?
And I'm currently in the midst of recreating the charge of the Light Brigade.
A steel worker or a taxi cab driver, he thinks his wife is having an affair. He asks her.
Now, that is a little harder than I thought because it's hard to find those hussars. But I'm tracking them down, and I'm determined I will have that battle recreated by next month.
Maybe he has to push her around a little bit. Maybe she doesn't want to answer. She lies and cries. All right, what does he do? He goes out and gets drunk with his best friend, asks if he's heard anything.
Why did I start to see derision in her smiles? Feel the prick of jealousy when she spoke about other men.
But to get a call in the middle of the night, when you're groggy and feeling vulnerable to emotions.
1,440 hours.
That man is a businessman. He's done 1 million deals. He knows all he has to do is deny it. What's she gonna say? She was the one who was spying.
But you didn't go up to Ash's office with Miss Willis.
No, sir.
What did you do that evening after you saw Marie Willis enter that elevator to go up to Leonard Ash's office?
Well, I had to keep a dinner date with a friend at a restaurant on 52nd Street. And then not long after I got home, the police called to say that they found Miss Willis murdered on 69th Street. And they wanted me to identify the body. Leonard Ash was already there. He said a man phoned him with a voice he didn't even recognize and said maybe if he could meet him at the office, they could talk some sense into Marie. Ash said when he got there, the door of the office was there just standing open. When he saw her, he leaned out a window and yelled for the police.
Your Honor, how does the witness know this?
These facts are established by police report. Mr. Bagby was there when it was taken.
Gentlemen, please come forward.
Facts are established by police report. Mr. Bagby was
Which way is Center Street? We'll need a taxi, and I want a word with you.
No. First a word from me. Now, you were told that you were going to be following Bagby to the stand, and now you want a taxi so you can go home and then be in contempt of court?
I'm not going home.
Right. Where are you going?
The 618 West 69th Street. I'll tell you on the way.
Oh, have fun. I'm going back inside the courthouse.
No, I need you.
Oh, that's very touching. This had better be very good.
It's preposterous.
Yes, it is. Now, let's go back inside.
No, I mean Mr. Mandelbaum's thesis. I concede that Mr. Ash might have murdered that girl. I concede that his state of mind about his wife approached mania. But his solution was to hire someone to spy on his wife. Now, a man reluctant to take on such a chore by himself would be unlikely to strangle a woman and then open a window and yell for the police.
Or maybe he didn't go there to kill her, but then he got mad.
Fully. My testimony will support Mr. Mandelbaum's thesis, and if Mr. Ash is convicted, then it will be a judicial transgression, and I will not be a party to it.
You doubt Ash's guilt, and you think your testimony will help tag him, so you're scooting.
Yeah, something like that. Close enough.
Well, not for me, and don't give me guff that your finely honed sense of justice is putting you to work.
I can't go home. If I go home, they'll come and get me and drag me back to the witness box.
Oh, so why make the sacrifice? For who? For Ash? Come on, let's go back inside.
No, it's not what I like. It's what I don't like.
What?
Being called as a witness is one thing. Being used to corroborate a theory which I cannot support is another. But being forced to sit on that confounded bench with a smelly woman pressed against me.
Oh, I see how it stands. Ah, yes. Well, it's a fine day. What with the bank account, needing a shot in the arm, maybe Ash should be grateful. I do admit the woman was smelly, but I have a fine nose for these sort of things, and I can tell you it was Tussauds passion flower, and it cost $80 an ounce.
Yes. Archie, it was smelly.
What are you gonna do at 69th Street?
I don't know.
Good. This is the kind of errand usually send me on, and you're coming along for the first time. Why don't you take the lead? Now, are we brush peddlers or plumbers?
Don't be ridiculous. I am Mr. Wolfe, and this is my assistant, Mr. Goodwin. We have just come from the courthouse where Leonard Ash is being tried.
Goodbye.
We have been sent to check on subpoenas that have been served on witnesses. Have you been served?
No.
Well, where is Miss Hart? Where is Miss Velarde and Miss Welts? Where are they? They were present on the 15th.
It had been weeks since those names had appeared in the papers, but Wolf's Skull had a filing system even better than Saul Panzer's.
Aren't you Nero Wolfe, the detective?
Yes. You are Alice Hart.
Yes. What do you want?
Information.
We have no information. Who sent you here?
Autokinesis. There is a cardinal flaw in the assumption that Leonard Ash killed Miss Willis, and it has made me curious. And when I am curious, there is only one cure, the whole truth, and I intend to find it.
Take my board, will you, Pearl? Miss Welts has the day off, but Miss Velarde and I can talk to you. We'll go to my room.
One moment, Miss Hart. There is one point that was missed in the newspaper reports. Miss Willis was found in the vicinity of the switchboard. Presumably, she was seated at the switchboard when the murderer arrived. But you live here, you and the others. If Leonard Ash killed her, how did he know that she would be alone on the premises?
I don't know. Perhaps she told him she would be. Is that the flaw?
No, but I would prefer someone with a surer knowledge that she was alone. Since she was small and slight, even you are not excluded, or these others. Not that I am now prepared to charge you with murder.
I hope not. This way.
Well, well, well. I'm no art critic, but is that not a Vincent van Gogh?
What's the flaw?
I'm the inquisitor, Miss Hart, not you. Where did you get that piece?
That's none of your business.
It most certainly is not. But I will tell you that there will be no limit to my impertinence with you. If you refuse to tell me where you got it, I'll put a man on it, a competent man, and he'll find out.
What does it matter where I got the picture?
Probably nothing about you matters. But the fact is that the picture is a treasure, and this is an odd address for it. Do you own it?
Yes.
What is your salary?
$80 a week.
Hardly enough for your extravagance. Inheritance? Alimony?
I have never married.
I'm not surprised.
I had some savings and I wanted it. I wanted it. If you save for 15 years, you have a right to something.
Yes, you most certainly do. Where were you the night Marie Willis was killed?
Out in Jersey. In a car with Bella Velarde. To get cooled off, it was a hot night. We got back after midnight.
In your car?
No. Helen Welts lent us hers. She has a Jaguar.
Jaguar, huh? It's quite a pricey item, what with taxes and extras. $4,000 would not cover it. You couldn't fit into one.
Has any client ever asked you to listen in on calls on his number?
Certainly not.
Yes. Were you aware of Marie Willis's regard for Abina Keene?
We all knew. Marie did imitations of her.
When did she tell you of her decision to tell Rabina Keene that her husband was planning to spy on her?
I didn't say she had.
Did you know the boyfriend? Marie Willis's boyfriend, Guy Unger.
Not very well.
That's not what I heard.
What have you heard?
You had dinner with him twice.
What of it? Guy took us to the theater and then to dinner. So?
Who paid?
Guy paid.
Did he have any affection for you?
No.
Did you have affection for him?
You gotta be kidding.
I see. Where did you get that lamp?
My Aunt Beulah.
You mentioned before that Marie Willis did an imitation of Rubina Keene. Can you replicate that?
I can't do Marie doing Rubina Keene. Marie was brilliant. It was her calling. She was wasting her time in this dump. Out in Jersey?
Wolfe had begun to boil.
To get cooled off. It was a hot...
I seldom feel sorry for people that Wolfe has in a corner. They usually deserve it.
Has a client ever asked you to listen in on his calls?
No. Yeah, guy took us to the theater, Marie and I.
Yes. Did he have any affection for you?
No. You want to make something of it?
I see. I've had enough of you. Bring on Miss Velarde.
Her room is next door. This way.
I guess she doesn't want to leave us alone with the Van Gogh, huh?
Look around.
Ah, well, she has quite an extensive library. Interesting title. One Mistake Too Many, featuring a double-breasted floozy shrinking from a muscle-bound baboon. Yes. Aha. Ah, she's a philanthropist. She donates dough to the cause of equine genetics.
Meaning?
She bets the horses.
Does she lose much?
Oh, she loses plenty. She takes 2 house journals.
Well, open drawers. Open all the drawers. Open these drawers. She should see open drawers when she comes in. I want to see how much impudence these creatures will tolerate.
No.
It's Guy Younger. Try to get more of these.
I was ready to meet a yelp of indignation, but didn't have to. It was a cinch these phone operators had something on their minds.
Miss Hart says you wanted to ask me something?
Yes. If I put 3 investigators on the job of finding out how much money you lost last year on the horse racing, how long do you think it would take?
I don't know.
With luck, 5 hours. Without, 5 days. Why don't you make things simpler and tell us, how much money have you lost?
How do you know I've lost anything?
Archie, resume your search. I'm sure she has records of losses and gains somewhere.
Look, Mr. Wolfe, Wait, Mr. Wolfe! It's no secret that I like to bet, but the amounts is different. I have friends who... Well, they don't want people to know, so they give me money to bet for them. Sometimes it's $100, sometimes it's $200. I mean, I only make $65 a week.
In the summer weather, when you're working here alone, on duty, are the windows open? Are the shades up?
When it's hot, yeah.
Yes? On the night of July 15th, it was hot. Were the windows open that night?
I don't know. I was out in Jersey in a car with Alice Hart. They get cooled off. We didn't get back until midnight.
Well, that settles that. One woman could conceivably lie, but 2 using the same words.
If the windows were open and the shades were up, would anyone in her senses have killed Marie Willis so exposed to view? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
Then he or she would have definitely drawn the shades before proceeding. How could Leonard Ash have managed that without startling Marie Willis?
I don't know. He may have. I don't know.
When was this taken?
You took that from my drawer. Where else did you take? Get out of here and stay out!
Come, Archie! There seems to be a limit after all.
Wait! Wait, Mr. Wolfe. Mr. Wolfe, I didn't mean to flare up about the photo like that. It was taken 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago last Sunday. The other woman is Helen Welts, and the man is Guy Unga. We were having a day at the beach together, that's all. Guy and Helen and Ralph and me. Ralph is my boyfriend, and Guy, well, when Marie died, he kind of took an interest in Helen. Look, I told Marie she was asking for it, talking to Mr. Ash like she did. I told her she was asking for it and she might get it, but she didn't listen. She was so daddled about Robina Keene. Well, she didn't listen to anybody.
Where is Miss Wells?
This is a day off.
I know that. Where is she?
She's probably at the place she rented up in Westchester, near Katona. You want me to phone and find out?
Yes, if you would.
Taking a taxi to Katona?
Oh, I'm going to Pete's garage for the car.
There are 100 things that a businessman might do, and murder is not even in the top 10.
What do you do in that situation? Well, of course, you rush down to the jail, forgetting makeup and misbuttoning your blouse, and when you see him...
Why did I feel like that?
He's a producer, for God's sake, and this girl, she wants to be an actress.
I do have a collection of the ancient Romans.
I mean, it's not as if she wasn't home every evening waiting for me. Martini, freshly poured.
I mean, a girl wants to get ahead. She's gonna do what she has to do.
When they strip you naked and they hose you down for lice.
I might have refused to have seen her. Or thrown her into the street. But at least, poor dear, she'd be alive.
Then they work very hard to take away everything else.
On what charge?
As some girls, it doesn't matter what it is, but they want to get the man's attention.
Lice.
No one can tell you what it's like. You have this...
I'll admit, going and threatening to tell his wife that he was spying is maybe not the most politic way of going about it, but it worked, didn't it? Got a private meeting with him.
Every night I have to go home to our silent apartment.
Didn't it?
And yet, when graced with Robina's favor, I turned into a boy. Until you fall into the pit, you never believe it can really happen to you.
The only way it makes sense for him to have called for the police is if he didn't kill her.
Kind of confusing me here.
Well, I'm a hockey coach.
2 months.
From here, we could walk home in 4 minutes.
I was expecting this. Yes, sir, I knew this was coming. It's your genius at work. Because to go to Katona, you need a car. To get a car, you gotta go to Pete's garage. The garage is so near home. And once you're home, you can bolt the door, be safely inside. Once inside, having a delicious lunch with the door safely bolted, we could then discuss the insanity of driving to Katona.
Fritz. Yes, if there are any callers, you tell them that you have not heard from us. Ah. Oh. No, I don't know. No, not at all. I don't know about dinner. No, we can't be expected until we arrive. There were 4 calls. One from an officer of the court, one from a district attorney's office, and 2 from Inspector Freeman.
Sure you don't want to go home?
Shut up.
Yes, sir. In his own comfortable chair, surrounded by books, Wolfe can usually keep his genius under control. But faced with a perfumed woman, he ran away and now he was stuck. He couldn't go back to court, he couldn't go home, so he was headed into the wilds of Westchester County to talk to a woman who might be as smelly as the one he had run from.
Archie, decrease the velocity of this death trap.
If this death trap goes any slower, we won't get there till next Tuesday.
What was that? Was that the tire? Has it blown out? Stop this car immediately!
No, sir, that was called a bump, and it's unavoidable in Westchester County. As a matter of fact, we're heading into a whole mess of them, so hold on. I turned off the road and into a rutted driveway, and there, Helen Weltz's Jaguar sat.
You're Archie Goodwin? I'm Helen Wells.
Hello.
Nero Wolfe. It's really you. It's such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
This is Guy Unger. Come this way. We're celebrating the last gasp of autumn color. What can I get you to drink? We have martinis and martinis and martinis. Or if you're cold, I could get you a hot toddy.
No, thank you.
Oh, you sure? Otherwise, you came all this way for nothing. I don't know anything. I was out on a boat that day with Mr. Unger.
Ah. And when did Mr. Unger get here?
Why, he just arrived.
I'm just looking on, that's all. I'm not an impartial observer, as I am partial to Miss Wells, but...
Well, let me explain more fully. When I spoke to Miss Hart and Miss Velarde, I was insufferable, and they should have flouted me, but they were afraid to. And I assume that you know why. I also assume that after I called, you phoned Mr. Unger and he was concerned enough to get here before I arrived.
Forget it. Miss Wells called me yesterday to invite me out this afternoon.
Behave yourself, Guy. Do you know what he said when I told him Nero Wolfe was coming?
Oh.
He said he may be famous for brains, but I'm going to make him prove it. Something like that. I don't pretend to have brains. I'm just scared.
Scared of what, Miss Wells?
Why, scared of you. Who wouldn't be scared if they knew Nero Wolfe was coming to pump them?
You have the alternative of snubbing me, yet you suffer me. Why?
I didn't want to miss the chance to touch the great Nero Wolfe, that's why.
Now you have touched me, yet you still suffer me. I can't expect to prove Mr. Ashe innocent. The best I can hope for is to establish a reasonable doubt. Can you give it to me?
I'm sorry. You're funny. The way they kept after us and after us at the district attorney's office, and you come in and expect to drag it out of me in 20 minutes.
You've had enough, Helen. Take it easy.
The most I expect, Miss Wells, is support for my belief that you people share knowledge of something that you don't want revealed, and you have given me that.
I haven't told you anything.
Nonsense. You're on the edge of hysteria.
I am not.
Take it easy, Helen. What makes you doubt his guilt?
Divination, contrariety.
So, you're shooting at this on spec. Do you regard me as a suspect?
Yes.
Look, me and Marie weren't engaged or anything like that. We were just having fun. A week before the murder, I took her up the Hudson on my boat, but there was nothing to it.
What do you do, Mr. Unger?
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, the papers were vague. Broker, I believe it was. Are you a broker? Have you handled any transactions for Bagby Answers Incorporated?
What makes you ask that? Just curious?
Mr. Unger, since apparently you have heard of me, you may know that I dislike riding in cars. Do you suppose that I would have made this excursion to a place called Katona completely at random?
What do you say you and I take a little walk? I'd like to speak with you privately.
I do not like conversing on my feet. Archie.
Let's go rake some leaves, Miss Welts.
Well, sir, you wish to speak with me?
Yeah. Why did you ask me if I did work for Bagby?
Idle curiosity.
You're lying. Why come out here? Why go to the office if you haven't concocted some crazy idea about Bagby?
The most I expected out of my journey was support for my belief that you people have some common knowledge of something that you don't want revealed. And you have given me that. I will now go to work, although I am not too sanguine. It's quite possible that when I've squandered my time and the time of my assistants, I will find that what you people are nervous about has nothing at all to do with the death of Marie Willis, but I can't know that until I know what it is. And I assure you, Mr. Unger, I will know what it is.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I was playing dumb before. I do know something about you. You came all the way out here by car. You hate cars. You're doing this thing on spec. You never investigate anything for free. So suppose I offer you some cash. Suppose I offer you $5,000.
Well, I like money, and I require a lot of it to live as I see fit, and $5,000 is a handsome sum, so what would you expect in exchange?
I have to spell it out for you?
Well, I never undertake a job unless the client can specify an objective.
And they said you were smart.
Hey, you know, this is far enough, unless he uses a megaphone. I gotta stay in plain sight, see? I admit he would be a maniac if he tried to jump Wolfe, but, you know, when people are involved in a murder, they do strange things.
He's not involved in a murder.
Yeah, but he will be after Wolfe gets through with him. Hey, that's no way to do it. Come on, open up the valve. Let it out. That's it. Let it out. That's right, let it out. All right, now listen, you know, if he thinks I upset you, he might fly off the handle, come down here and try to rescue you or something, and, well, give me an excuse to plug him. All right, come on. That's it. There you are.
Oh, my God. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you just put your arms around me and told me, it's all right, my darling. I'll take care of everything. Leave it to me.
Oh. It's all right, my darling. I'll take care of everything. Leave it to me. Now what?
Why didn't I get me a man? I could have had a dozen, but no, I had to do it all by myself. And now here I am with a Jaguar and no man. How do you set fire to a car?
Oh, well, you pour gasoline all over it, you light a match, toss it in it, jump back real fast. You gotta be careful what you tell the insurance company, though. You'll end up in the can.
I will repeat to you what I have said to others. I have seen a flaw in the case against Leonard Ash, and it has made me curious. And when I become curious, there is only one cure, the truth. If I undertake an investigation on your behalf, I will still look for the truth, whether it is to your benefit or not.
All I want you to do is to go back in that court and testify. Quit stalling. I should give that chump the chair for what he did to Marie.
Then you had more feelings for her than earlier referred to.
You didn't know her. She... What does it matter now? She's gone.
Yes, I'm surprised that no one seems to think your relationship was more than casual.
You are stupid in some ways. You think I'm going to go to the police? You think I'm going to say that I was in love with her, that we were making plans? I'd be in the dock right now. But I do want her killer caught.
You want revenge?
Yes.
Yes, well, I'm a luckier man than you are, then. I only want the truth.
Is it just a bluff? Was he trying to scare something out of me?
No, not just. If he happens to scare something out of you, fine. But he'll get it out of you, even if he gets it out the hard way. He will get it. And you might get hurt.
I'm already hurt.
No, hurt worse.
I suppose I could be. I used to feel so delicate. Just like one of these.
What do you say I sweeten the pot? What do you say to $10,000?
For you.
$10,000 is a lot of money for a man to do his duty.
You interest me. What is your concept of duty? What theory of justice could compel me to help convict a man I am convinced is innocent?
Where can I see Nero Wolfe around 9 o'clock in the city?
Oh, come on. Why don't you just go tell him now?
I can't. I don't dare.
On account of hunger?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we'll go, and we'll come back after he leaves.
He's not going to leave. He came to take me back to the city.
I see. All right, well, then tell me. I'm like a tape recorder, see? You know, you can tell me I'm even better than a tape recorder. And I'll tell him word for word exactly what you tell me. How's that?
You don't understand. I can't. I don't dare. I'm not a hero.
All I want for you to do is to go back to that court, and I'm willing to pay you $10,000 to do it.
Are you afraid for your life? All right, well... Helen! Why don't we get back here? Call Wolf's house when you're ready. Past midnight, 3 a.m., it doesn't matter.
Are you going to tell him?
A man named Fritz will answer. Tell him you're the Queen of Hearts. He'll know what to do.
If you tell him, I'm going to deny it.
You got that? Queen of Hearts. Now laugh.
We're finished here. We're finished.
It's potholes. That's common in Westchester.
It's not potholes, it's something stinking. It's combustible.
Everything's fine.
This is a death trap.
Everything's fine.
Archie, pull up. We must talk.
We got a nibble from Helen Welts.
Yes, well, you are the connoisseur of comely women. Is she a murderess in a funk trying to wiggle out?
She's wriggling, all right. From what? I'd need 6 guesses. What about Unger? Is he wriggling?
Oh, yes. He offered me money. Yes, first $5,000, then 10.
Well, I've often said you should get out more often. What'd you tell him?
That I resented and scorned his attempt to suborn me.
Oh, yeah, he's in a panic. He'll get over it. I mean, why not string him along?
No, there's no time. I intend to appear in court tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow? With what, for God's sake?
Well, we can't go home. Inspector Kramer will have a man posted there. It's all Panzer's apartment, conveniently located.
Now, Saul only has 1 bedroom. If we're going to go somewhere, we should go to Lily Rowan's apartment. She's got many bedrooms. We'd be welcome there, especially you.
Yes, we'll manage at Saul's.
She's got a beautiful penthouse.
Maybe perhaps we could stop at Dixie's on the way into town.
Dixie's, huh?
Wait. There's that sound again. What is it?
By 8 o'clock, Wolfe had put away 3 orders of chili con carne at a little dump in Harlem where a guy named Dixie knew how to make it.
Chili is one of the great peasant foods. It is one of the few contributions America has to world cuisine. Eaten with cornbread, sweet onion, and sour cream, it contains all 5 of the elements deemed essential by the sages of the Orient. Sweet, sour, salty, pungent, and bitter. It begins like...
I spent the time phoning Saul and Fritz and invested an extra dime in Lon Cohen.
Cohen.
When he heard my voice, he said,
Hey, where you calling from, the Slammer?
No, I'm calling to see if our absence
has been noticed. Oh, yeah, the whole town is in an uproar. Yeah, a raging mob is torn the courthouse down. Listen, we're running a fairly good picture of Wolfe, but the picture of you you look old. You're not gonna like it. Listen, what do you say? Come down to the studio.
yeah, sure, glad to. No, see, the thing is this, I need to settle a bet. Is there a warrant out for us?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Judge Corbett signed it right after lunch. Yeah, he wasn't kidding. Come on, look, I'll tell you what. I send a guy to you. It takes 5 minutes.
Much obliged, but if I told you where I am, you'd be an accomplice, and you'd have to take your own picture.
No, wait.
The best of French cuisine with good meat. Chopped, not ground. Excuse me. But key to Dixie's success are the onions and the tomatoes, which he owes to his grandmother, who grows them on the south side of the vacant lot behind his house in full sun. He begins his batch on Sunday. By Tuesday, it is edible. By Thursday, it's unforgettable.
There is a warrant, in case you're interested, and I did not call Jimmy Donovan, Leonard Ash's attorney.
Why not?
Why not? What could I say? That Nero Wolfe had something urgent for him and leave a telephone number? He's a sworn officer of the court. He'd have to serve the warrant on you, not to mention the one on me.
You're enjoying this.
Like hell I am. I am a fugitive from justice. I'm hardly enjoying this, no.
Phone Saul and ask him if he has heard from Miss Wells. And then phone and see if you can arrange a meeting for us to see Mrs. Leonard Ash.
Oh, yeah, great. Oh, I see. I get the easy ones, you know. I bet she's sitting there right now hoping a couple of strange detectives drop in. That's what I think she's hoping right now. Are we still pretending to be from the court? Should I say that we are Judge Wolfe and Judge Goodwin calling? Is that what I should say to her right now when I make the call?
No, we are ourselves. Thank you, Dixie. Thank you.
Muriel? Do you have the tea ready? Good. 3 cups, please. I'm dead tired. I'm empty. Completely empty. Would you care for tea?
No, thank you.
Muriel, just for me. Thank you. Your man said on the phone that I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't see you. Will I? Thank you.
I'll be as brief as possible.
Good.
I have information which may not exculpate your husband, but should raise a reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury. However, it would take a prolonged investigation to get it in the form of admissible evidence.
I do so hate to inform you of this. But the trial's already been started, Mr. Wolfe.
I have in mind a shortcut. But to take it, I must have a talk with your husband.
Ah, and how, pray tell, will you manage to do that?
You, madam.
I?
You. You have a wide acquaintance, great personal charm. It would not be too difficult for you to get permission to have a talk with your husband tomorrow morning. You could take me with you.
I see. But what do you wish to say? Is it about me?
I can tell you nothing without compromising my plan.
I see.
That in a fit of rage, grabbed her, choked her to death. Cold-blooded killer?
Well, I suppose I have nothing to lose. Nothing more to lose. But if I do this, should I not tell Mr. Donovan?
You must not. He would not only forbid it, he would prevent it. This, madam, is for you alone.
For me alone? Yes. For me alone. My God. It would be such a relief to do something.
Of course, I have made the assumption that you do not want your husband to be convicted of murder.
You do not have to say that. My husband is not a fool, but he acted like one. And I love him very much. Where can I reach you?
Archie.
I gave her Saul's number. She went with us to the foyer, but she wasn't there. Her mind was so glad to have a job that it had left us entirely.
Saul?
After circling Saul's block 3 times, we decided that Kramer had not had enough genius to post a man there, and we went inside.
A good room. Satisfactory. I congratulate you. Have you heard from Fritz? Has he called with news of that woman?
The Queen of Hearts, no, sir. Will you have some beer?
Indeed. Indeed, I will, if you please. Feeling a bit peckish. Have you got anything, a sandwich, something? Don't put yourself out in any way on my behalf. It's just that I'm satisfactory. So actually, I'm not that hungry. Archie just drove me to Dixie's, and I had a bowl or two of chili. Seems wonderful. Don't tell me there's more. When did you have time to do this? Actually, Dixie sends his regards to you. Do you know him well? You go there often?
Not too often, sir.
Because he seems to know you very well.
Oh, he's a funny guy.
He says that you bring a very attractive young lady in there quite often.
He got me mixed up with someone else, Mr. Wolfe.
Yes?
I think so.
There's no need to deny. I was hungrier than I thought. This is extraordinary. Oh, no.
No, I'm glad to hear it.
So,
Your thought.
I couldn't have any more. I can't eat another bite. Okay. What is this made from?
It's a
duck.
Yes, it is.
Ah. It's duck liver. Excellent. Why don't you join me?
I will as soon as it is.
What have we here? Vermont cheddar. Piedmont Gorgonzola.
Yes.
Coulommiers.
Vacherin mondiaux.
Impossible. No, that is made from the milk of cows who have been fed the last cuttings of grass before the first snow. It's available only for weeks in September.
Summer stayed late in the Alps this year. A friend of mine keeps an eye out for me.
Satisfactory. You must tell this friend to keep an eye for me next year.
Be my pleasure.
May I?
Naturally, the first time Wolfe ate under his roof, Saul wanted to give him good grub. Okay, but 3 kinds of cheese was piling it on.
I noticed that you have the new translation of Aristotle's Analytics.
It's more colloquial. It provides a voice.
Yes. What is your estimation of its value?
Well, no one sets out the problem of deducing a conclusion from a set of disparate facts so clearly.
But is it of use? I mean, he never condescended to actual practice. King me.
Well, he's Aristotle.
Indeed. Yes, he defined the terms for all of us, didn't he?
Yeah, that's certainly true. I'll never forget his fashion advice. Never mix togas and sandals on a windy day. It's ruled my life.
It's hilarious.
Your move.
Yeah.
Take all of it off?
Then, another one. Well, I suppose the panic wore off, and I'm going to bed.
Well, I'm afraid I don't have any pajamas that you could get into, Mr. Wolfe, but I do have a robe from the Sudan.
Robe? What sort of robe?
This is Jackson 43109.
This is the Queen of Hearts.
Yes, I recognize the voice. Where are you?
In a booth at Grand Central. I couldn't get rid of him.
Okay, look, I will meet you at the upper level information booth in 5 minutes. Will you be there?
Of course I will. Hurry.
If her panic wore off, it wore on again. Now, Sal, make some coffee. And she'll need that, or either that or bourbon. And maybe she likes cheese.
That robe, is it going to be big enough?
They'd be a lot better off if they did things for themselves instead of buying solutions.
When they jump up and want to claw at you, and they're so amusing. They're very lovable.
I can't tell you really, even now, why I felt I had to check up on my wife.
Not a trace of a vegetable or a fruit for that matter.
Well, the police and the DA, well, they've got a good story, but that's all. They haven't got a real motive. I mean, a steelworker wants to know what his wife is doing with her afternoons. He takes his lunch hour off and goes home and sees for himself.
Well, for me, the whole debacle happened because I inspire fans.
Gladiator, yes. Yes,
60 days.
He's innocent, and there is nothing to be done for him.
1,440 hours.
The DA will have us believe that he waited 2 hours, went to her office, killed her there, when any of the 3 other women living and working there could have walked in on him any time. He didn't know where they were. I mean, how stupid is that?
Well, I also have cats. I have 8 cats.
Over 86,000 minutes.
And the Mandelbaum, he'll pull his patented winks and nods at the jury.
Happiness
was mine. I really don't think I would have had much in common with her. Wonderful plan, darling. Oh, let's stay home, read the paper, don't answer the phone. Wonderful.
This has been so hard.
Try to make them believe that he really needs their opinion.
Not the appearing in public. Being stared at all day, I'm used to that.
Me, I'll just keep hammering away at the jury with one thought.
Nothing.
He rushes over to the window and calls out, "Help! Police!"
Nothing.
It doesn't make sense.
Next morning, it was time to meet Leonard Ashe.
I've brought a visitor, darling.
I don't want to see anybody but you. Mr. Wolfe.
Mr. Ashe, I need your attention.
But isn't this irregular?
Please, just sit down. Pay attention. After listening to the proceedings yesterday, it occurred to me that a telephone answering service would provide a singular opportunity for scoundrelism, like doctors, lawyers, and servants. They have access to privileged information.
Of course, that's exactly why I thought of using them.
It further occurred to me that the opportunities to practice blackmail on their clients would be limitless.
Blackmail? You mean a criminal operation?
Yes. And at the risk of incurring the penalty of contempt, I left the courtroom specifically to view the officers at 69th Street and concluded that it would be impossible for one operator to eavesdrop on her lines without the others becoming aware of it. Therefore, if Bagby Answers, Inc. were to engage in a blackmail operation, it must be done collusively or not at all.
My lord. Well, that would explain why she didn't turn me down outright. How does this affect my case?
But I still don't understand how you mean to get it before the jury.
Get it before the jury?
Yes.
Have you been consulting with Mr. Wolfe?
No, of course not, darling. He called me.
When? How long has this been going on?
Last night. I was alone and he called. Or his man called and said...
You were alone with... My God, you still don't know how this kills me.
Sir! Madam! Please.
He's trying to help Leonard.
Please, don't interrupt again. I have much to say, and there is little time before court convenes.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Corbett is presiding.
Be seated.
Nero Wolfe. Is Nero Wolfe present?
Can you proceed? Mr. Wolfe, how kind of you to join us. Are you going to stay this time?
No, I will stay here until I've completed my testimony.
You knew you were to testify yesterday. Why did you leave then?
I was impelled by a motive that I thought imperative. If you want me to expound upon it now, I shall do so. But I would prefer to plead the contempt charges later, if the court would permit. I will still be here.
Indeed you will. You're under arrest.
No, sir, I am not.
You're not under arrest.
No, sir, I am not under arrest. I have come here voluntarily.
Well, you are now. Officer, this man is under arrest. But I will allow you to answer the contempt charges later. Bailiff?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do so affirm.
Proceed, Mr. Mandelbaum.
Well, Mr. Wolfe, now that I finally have you on the stand, I may have to keep you until tomorrow.
You have always been doggedly thorough, Mr. Mandelbaum.
And you're very famous, Mr. Wolfe, perhaps even deservedly so. But we observe the formalities in the courtroom in order that the rule of law can be preserved. So, for the record, please, state your name, address, and occupation.
Gladly. I am Nero Wolfe, a licensed private detective. My office and my home are at the same address, 914 West 35th Street, Manhattan, New York City, New York State.
Have you ever met the defendant in this case?
Mr. Leonard Ashe? Yes.
Under what circumstances did you meet Mr. Ashe?
He said he wished to hire me to learn the identity of the phone operator who was assigned to his phone and to propose to her that she spy on his wife.
Did he say why he wished to make this arrangement?
No, but I surmised...
Objection, Your Honor. Conclusion of the witness as to the intention of the defendant.
Just answer the question, Mr. Wolfe, yes or no. Did Leonard Ashe suggest any inducement to Marie Willis to participate in his scheme?
No, he did not name an actual sum, but he indicated...
Your Honor!
Not what he indicated, what he said. Strike all of his answer except for the word no. Your answer is no, Mr. Wolfe, yes or no?
No.
Did Leonard Ashe say anything else to you? Mr. Wolfe?
I would like to be sure I understand the question. Do you mean what he said that day, or on a later occasion?
Well, that day, of course. What other occasion?
Are you asking me?
In your deposition, you swore you hadn't met Leonard Ashe before or after July 13th.
That was true then. We met again.
When?
In this building at 8:30 this morning.
You met and spoke with the defendant in this building at 8:30 this morning, today?
His wife arranged to see him, and she allowed me to accompany her.
Was Mr. Donovan, the defense counsel, present?
No, sir.
Your Honor, I would like to state for the record that I knew nothing of this.
Don't you know that it's a misdemeanor for a witness for the state to speak with a defendant charged with a felony?
We didn't discuss my testimony.
What did you discuss?
Matters which I thought would be of interest to him.
What exactly did you say, Mr. Wolfe?
The fat son of a gun had put it over. Having asked him directly, Mandelbaum couldn't possibly keep Wolfe's theories from the jury, unless Jimmy Donovan was a sap.
Do you wish to withdraw the question, Mr. Mandelbaum?
Oh, no. I'm absolutely fascinated. You didn't discuss your testimony. What did you discuss?
I told him that yesterday, as I sat in this courtroom, I became aware that significant questions concerning the murder were unanswered, and that made my position as a witness for the prosecution an uncomfortable one.
On behalf of the state of New York, I apologize.
I told him further that I'd left this courtroom to make the investigation which the police should have undertaken had they not been so enamored of the idea that Ashe was guilty.
You are not answering the question of your contempt charges. Did you say anything relevant to this case?
I detailed to him my suspicion that Bagby answers had been used as a blackmailing operation.
Surely, this is just surmise, Mr. Wolfe.
Not at all. I told Mr. Ashe that when I left the court and visited there, the operators at Bagby Answers tolerated my rudeness beyond reason. I learned that their personal expenditures far exceeded their salaries. An associate of Bagby's offered me $5,000 for services which he would not specify. When I declined his bribe, he offered me 10. And most significant, I told Mr. Ashe that last night Helen Welts phoned me.
How long did you spend with Mr. Ashe?
A half an hour.
Half an hour?
I can say a lot in half an hour.
No doubt. The court's and the jury's time can't be spent on irrelevancies. Did you make any suggestions to Mr. Ashe regarding his defense?
No.
Then why did you seek the interview, Mr. Wolfe? Were you seeking employment?
Your Honor, surely this is cross-examination, and I object to it.
The objection is sustained. Mr. Mandelbaum, you know the rules of evidence. Please examine him upon the merits.
Your Honor, I have no more questions.
Mr. Wolfe, your reputation precedes you to this witness stand. And I must say, as a reader of newspapers, I find it a very entertaining one.
However, as a jurist, I read of your exploits with an unquiet heart. From a judicial point of view, you have often taken it upon yourself to be the judge of matters best left to officials who are bound by the rules of evidence and who have sworn to uphold the Constitution. You have on occasion acted as judge, jury, and executioner. And I would not find it at all entertaining if you tried one of your shenanigans in my courtroom in order to cause a mistrial, intending to get your client released.
He's not my client, sir. And I've only one interest: that justice be served.
That is my point, Mr. Wolfe. Your idea of justice and the laws may be very different.
I accept that analysis.
Oh, I am so pleased. But I want you to know, if there is a mistrial as a consequence of your shenanigan in the name of justice, both you and your client will see the inside of a jail.
He is not my client, sir. You appear to be an intelligent man. From my reading of the law, I believe that what I'm about to say falls within the rules of evidence, sir.
Unfortunately for you, Mr. Mandelbaum, I cannot at this time see any flaw in Mr. Wolfe's reasoning. However, I reserve the right to do so. Your witness, Mr. Donovan.
Mr. Wolfe, why did you seek an interview this morning with Mr. Ash?
Because I wanted to tell him that I had acquired information which cast a reasonable doubt on his guilt, and I wanted to get it to the jury without delay. I had concluded...
Objection, Your Honor! Conclusions of the witness are inadmissible.
But he is merely relating what he said to Mr. Ash, as the assistant district attorney asked him to.
The objection is overruled, Mr. Mandelbaum. Continue, Mr. Wolfe.
You were answering the question, Mr. Wolfe. Why did you seek an interview with Mr. Ash?
It occurred to me that if I saw Mr. Ash, the fact would probably be disclosed in the course of my examination by Mr. Mandelbaum. And if so, he would almost certainly ask me what had been said. If he did not, then you would, Mr. Donovan, and I would be able to make my case to the jury. Therefore, I sought an interview with Mr. Ash.
Objection, Your Honor!
I'll have order. Continue, Mr. Donovan.
Mr. Wolfe, would you please tell the jury what you told Mr. Ash?
I told him that Helen Wells came to see me last night and confessed that Bagby Answers, Inc. had been used as a blackmailing operation for years. All of the switchboard operators had been party to it, including Marie Willis. Their dean, Alice Hart, collected the information. She gave it to Bagby and Unger, who used the personal secrets she had culled to blackmail their clients.
God, that's Alice Hart right there.
No one is to leave this room. Officer, detain these people as material witnesses. Continue, Mr. Wolfe.
Yes. Is it necessary for me to go on repeating the phrase, I told him, I told him, I told him?
No, not if you confine yourself strictly to what you said to Mr. Ash this morning.
I shall do so. As I was saying, Guy Unger and Clive Bagby gave the girls cash. In 3 years, Miss Wells received over $15,000.
This is fascinating, but earlier you alleged you could establish a reasonable doubt of Mr. Ash's guilt.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, according to Miss Wells, Marie Willis had been ordered by both Unger and Bagby to accept Ash's proposal to spy on his wife, and she had refused. She announced that she would quit and tell Mrs. Ash everything, making her an intolerable peril to the whole operation. I believe this establishes a clear motive for all of them and provides reasonable doubt of Mr. Ash's guilt.
Did you go on to speculate as to a probable replacement to Mr. Ash?
Yes. The conditions of the murder, the closed windows, the position of the victim, made it likely that the perpetrator was a co-worker. I considered the most promising candidate to be Mr. Bagby. He has the most to lose, and all the others had established alibis at the beach, on day trips, in cars. By his own testimony, Mr. Bagby dined not 6 blocks from the office.
That's a lie! I went home!
And from there, he called Mr. Ash and enticed him to the office to find the body. I leave the timetable to the police. They are extremely efficient with timetables. Now, Your Honor, I would like to plead to the charge of contempt, if I may.
You may not. You know quite well you've made that charge frivolous. It is dismissed. Are you through with this witness, Mr. Donovan?
Yes, Your Honor. No more questions.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Your Honor will appreciate it if I confess I find myself in an extraordinary predicament. I feel I'm entitled to consider the situation. I would like to retire and consult with my colleagues. Therefore, I ask for a recess and that the material witnesses be made available for questioning.
You may step down, Mr. Wolfe. Alice Hart, Bella Velarde, Guy Unger, and Clyde Bagby will come forward. The rest of you will keep your seats and preserve order.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough.
Actresses always act, but I admit that was probably unrehearsed. And I thoroughly approve, since it indicated that the Ash family would prove to be properly grateful. The thought may have occurred to you, that's nice, but the real reason Wolfe walked out was because he hated to sit against a perfumed woman in a wooden bench.